Hi there. This is video 1 of 3 in which we explain how the wildcloud platform works. As you may know, wildcloud provides scalable WordPress hosting with a shared codebase. This shared codebase is called Multi-Tenant WordPress and enables the same scalable workflow as SaaS companies like Dropbox, Shopify, and Slack. Today, I'm demonstrating how this results in faster website development, stress-free management, and safe updates. In this video, we cover how to quickly spin up pre-built websites based on templates called snapshots, centrally update and add plugins and themes for your websites using versions, and how to use the versioning system to safely manage websites at scale. In video 2, we get a little more technical and talk about pricing. We cover how our containerized cloud platform enables a serverless cloud scalable hosting experience, and we discuss how to optimize your costs with little to no overhead. In video 3, we discuss how to automate the sales and onboarding of your customers. We demonstrate how to set up a storefront that automatically sells website subscriptions, provisions new websites, and provides a self-service experience for your customers. This is based on our API, plugins, and WAS blueprints, which are included for free to everyone using wildcloud. So without further ado, let's talk about wildcloud's development workflow. When you start a free trial or subscription on wildcloud, you get to this screen, where you can basically choose your own adventure. Every wildcloud adventure starts by creating an application. Applications contain your version, snapshots, and tenants, the key concepts of the platform. If you want to focus on the shared hosting environment for your sites, you can start from scratch or import an existing site. If you want to focus on the storefront that will sell your website subscriptions and provision sites inside your shared environment, you can select the storefront. If you want to start with one of our blueprints, you can select Astra Cloud or Tudor Cloud. But today, we're going to start from scratch. From here, we name our application and select the data center. Many users manage subscriptions for clients, which is why you also link the application to a subscription. Give your application a suitable name. In this screen, it asks if you also want to spin up an application for your storefront. If you plan on automating your business, this is useful to do this now. The wildcloud platform will provision an environment with a website that has all the necessary plugins pre-installed to automate your setup and has established a connection using our API. And that's one less thing to worry about. Because video 3 is about automation, we will continue with the storefront. We give that a name and launch the applications. As you can see, we're launching 2 applications at the same time. This may take a couple of minutes. When the applications are launched, we will ignore the storefront for now and click on Go to Application here. We arrive in the shared environment for our sites and see that it already has a version. As mentioned, wildcloud introduces a way to manage the shared code for all websites in a centralized way. Versions are the shared multi-tenant environments in which a tenant is ran. On wildcloud, websites are called tenants. The version is also a WordPress site by itself. It is like a master site that contains all plugins, themes, and language files that the tenants need in order to run. Others also call it the staging environment for all your sites at the same time. When you add, change, or remove a plugin, theme, or language file, and deploy these changes to the multi-tenant environment, the plugins, themes, and language files of this multi-tenant environment will be updated. Every tenant runs on the version's multi-tenant environment. So if this environment is changed by deploying a snapshot, the code of all tenants running on that version is changed. Let's do it. Opening up the snapshot editor opens up a WP admin, just as you're used to. From here, you can start building our master template. Let's install the Cadence, Astra, and Bloxy theme. For now, we're just going to select the basic theme template by Cadence. I'll show you how to create sub-templates with different designs at the end of this video. And we'll also install Jetpack, Gutenberg, and BuddyPress. These selections are completely random and only intended to demo the wildcloud platform. You can pick whatever you want to build your site. You could even install a migration plugin like Prime Mover, which is our favorite, and import any site you've built in the past. Now that we have our basic functionality and a theme selected, let's go back to the wildcloud console and deploy a snapshot. Whether it's updating plugins, adding a new one, or setting up a fresh starting point for new tenants, it all starts with deploying a snapshot. Snapshots are immutable copies of the snapshot editor at a certain point in time. They contain everything from plugins and themes to uploaded images to the database of the snapshot editor. A snapshot is used to create new tenants with all plugins and theme settings, posts, users, and anything that exists in the snapshot editor's database. Let's do that now. Tenants are the actual sites that you link to live domains. Tenants live inside versions and are based on snapshots. Let's create a couple just to show you how fast this goes, and because we need them to showcase the rest of the platform. Tenants usually take no more than a few minutes to provision. When you're done, they are the exact representations of whatever's in the snapshot. Let's head over to the tenant overview. wildcloud generates a domain and SSL. Of course, you can add your own domains and subdomains using these records. You can add PHP constants, which are very useful, for example, when you're automating your business. And we'll cover that in video 3. You can run your backups, which we'll cover in video 2. And we have a panel to manage your plugins. Let's log in using single sign-on. Because all code is shared and controlled via the version, you cannot install, update, or delete plugins or themes on tenants. You, as the owner of the application, are in full control over the code via the version. This guarantees the uniformity and thus scalability of your website portfolio. In other words, you control management and improvement of the sites from the version. This means you can centrally control the updates of plugins or add new ones if you want. Let's do that now. When a version snapshot is deployed, its plugins, themes, and language files are made available to all the tenants in the respective version. However, existing tenants' databases will not be updated. This means that the Yoast plugin is now added to every tenant inside the version, but it will not be activated as this is a database configuration. We keep the database separate because you don't want to accidentally overwrite any work your customer has done or accidentally create plugin conflicts in live sites. In other words, the code is shared and controlled via the version, the database is separate and safe for your customers to work with. Let's zoom in into what the database entails. The database contains all the pages, the copy, the media uploads, and the plugin configurations. These are usually the things you want to keep separate from your other sites as they are customer or context specific. If you do want to centrally control any of these things, you can look into our great blueprint or get in touch with us. There are many ways to do this, and finding the best way for you is part of our white glove onboarding service that's included in our retainer. Now, let's use the versioning system to guarantee the safest way to update your sites. As mentioned, when you deploy a snapshot, its plugins, themes, and language files are immediately made available to all the tenants in the respective version. And as neat as this sounds, this is not the safest way to do it. Better yet, this is exactly one of the problems we wanted to solve about WordPress multi-site. You don't ever want to push untested changes to production sites without a way to roll back quickly. There are more limitations of WordPress multi-site that wildcloud solves, and we've written plenty on that subject, but we'll save it for another video. So let's update your sites in the right way by creating a new version. A new version is also an opportunity to update the version of WordPress or PHP for your sites because you now know that a version is essentially a master site that your tenants listen to. A new version is always based on a previous version and snapshot. You can essentially clone the latest state of the current version and work from there. Notice that I didn't select the latest snapshot that includes Yoast. While we wait for the new version to provision, notice that this version doesn't have any tenants connected to it. It's separate. This creates an isolated environment for us to improve and test our new version without affecting our tenants. And look, this version represents an earlier state of our V1 version without Yoast. Now let's make some improvements and install Rank Math. To save the state of the version, we need to deploy a snapshot. Now that the snapshot is done, we can test this functionality in a couple of ways. We can launch a new tenant inside of this version to see if it works. Notice again that a new tenant will receive everything in the snapshot, including the database. This means that the new tenant will have Rank Math installed and activated. We can also clone our existing tenants and move those to the new version. That way, we have an exact representation of our customer's website to test with without risking an actual live site. You can do this by creating a tenant snapshot via the tenant overview. The group name of the tenant snapshot is used when you start to automate your setup with a storefront. As said, we'll cover this in video 3. When this snapshot is done, you can find it in the tenant snapshot tab in the version overview. Let's create a new tenant based on the tenant snapshot. When it's done, we can move it from V1 to V2 to test if it still works. Because this tenant comes from V1, it will not have Rank Math activated, but we can do so via the tenant overview or centrally via the version overview. When we see the site doesn't break, we're confident enough to start moving our other tenants to the new version. Now, if anything breaks or goes wrong, we can immediately move back our tenants to the old version where we know everything works. We can fix the problem and move tenants back to V2. When we're done, we can make V2 the production version, which designates it as the default state and destination for any automatically provisioned tenants. And we delete V1 because we don't need it anymore. And that's it. We've completed a save update for all tenants using the versioning system. No matter how many sites you have, this system does not change. It shows you that one man can do the job and keep doing it as you grow your business. There's one final trick I want to show you. Remember those sub-templates we talked about? We already covered the tenant snapshot feature, so I think you already guessed how to make as many sub-templates as you want. Every time you create a tenant, they all share the same plugins and themes within that version, but the databases are separate. By designing each tenant individually and configuring themes and plugins for specific use cases, you can distinguish different sub-templates that cater to different use cases. And this is where things get really interesting. You can install all the plugins and multiple themes you need for multiple use cases inside of a single version and use them differently inside of separate tenants. When you create tenant snapshots, you create new templates that look and feel completely different. But the beautiful thing is that they are still managed and updated from the same version, giving you all the benefits of multi-tenant WordPress while retaining the flexibility to sell to different audiences. If you'd like to discuss your use case or receive custom onboarding help, please get in touch. Or continue on to video 2 to learn more about our cloud solution, or video 3 to get into automating your business with a storefront. I'll see you there.